So we are from Cumbria University. I am the simulation development lead. So basically I'm involved in research and development for the simulation team at Cumbria Uni. And
My name's Scott Inglis. I'm one of the senior lecturers in mental health nursing, and I have a specific interest in simulation and gamification, which is what's led to our collaboration.
yes. So what we decided to do, because we develop a lot of what we call proofs of concept, which are basically pilots in the team, and test them out and try them with people, and then sort of tweak things and modify. And we try not to make things that are specific to a profession, or if they are, we try and make them modifiable. So what we were thinking about this is if we could put some format together of this game, that we would be able to change out the content. And I can't really remember how this started, but we just sort of were talking about different types of game, and you're a big gamer, aren't you, personally?
I'm a proper tabletop role-playing geek. We were talking about human factors and how we could replicate the impact that human factors have on clinical decisions, which is an enormously dry subject. So we were trying to make education fun.
Yes.
And we thought that a game would probably be the best way of doing that. And there've been various sort of stabs at different sort of decision-making games in the past, but they've always sort of fallen short. No one's ever really been quite sure how to introduce that element of randomness that you really need, which would simulate anything from the practitioner's confidence that day, through the client's presentation, through to any of the 100,000 variables that affect us every day. And we figured that the best way to try and do that would be to introduce a random element, which is dice rolling. And that seemed to make sense to us.
Yeah. So basically in our team, we have collaborations with all different professions. So you're obviously from the mental health nursing team, and we thought that would be a good starting point to put that together. People bring content to us and ideas, and then we as a team try and put them together. So we should probably make mention of our missing team member, Finn, who's our senior technician, and he's got a filmmaking background and does a lot of design and things, doesn't he? So he sort of helps us put these things together. The platform we've used, just quickly, is a platform called ThingLink. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, but it's a brilliant platform, and I haven't used PowerPoint since getting ThingLink. You can get a free trial account and just use that to your heart's content, have a play with it. But we did actually recommend to purchase at the university because it was so good. And like I said, I haven't used PowerPoint since, if I do presentations, interviews, anything like that. And I don't work for ThingLink. It always sounds like I'm selling them and I'm on commission. I'm really not. But it is a fabulous platform, and compared to some other software, it's in fact, it's not software, it's an online system. It's very good value for money as well, I must say. So I hope that that's of interest to you as well. So the game itself, we decided to follow a mental health scenario just because that's your area of expertise, isn't it? But it should be applicable to anybody to use. We wanted to use the fantasy element, so we've actually taken the Dungeons and Dragons theme quite far. As you'll see from the ThingLink presentation that we've got, we've really captured the sort of fantasy elements. And we're looking for feedback today because we know not everybody's familiar with Dungeons and Dragons. I know that Stranger Things have made it a bit more of interest and mainstream and things. But we'd appreciate feedback on whether that element is too fantasy, or if it's just right, and obviously we'll make tweaks from it therein. Do you want to explain the mechanics of the game to start off with a little bit?
So the mechanics, we've tried to keep the mechanics as simple as we possibly can. So the idea is that the mechanic is not profession specific, but it's this: you run into a scenario In the scenario, there is someone that you have to help. So you choose your helper, and we've got a selection of pre-generated helpers with various skills. You choose your helper, and then an issue arises, and we've treated the issue like a monster. So we have the shadow of doubt and different things like that, which will appear, and they attack you, and they rob you of compassion points. Okay, so this is quite important. If you run out of compassion points, you're no longer able to help anyone. And we're doing this for helping professions, be they nursing, OT, physio, social work, whoever. So compassion is core to all of those things. You get a chance to defend yourself, and you get a chance to strike a blow using your skills as a weapon to defeat the monster, whether that's the shadow of doubt or the phantom of panic or whatever. And we do that as through rolling dice. Now, we're going to use an online dice roller today, but we've got real dice. You
have an extensive collection.
I have an extensive collection. I have a bin bag full of dice, and a problem. But we do that, and that's what allows the randomness. So instead of just saying, I am going to reassure the client that everything is going to be okay, or I'm going to do this intervention which will promote insight, we say we're going to do that, and then you have to roll a dice to see whether or not that works. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't work, then that makes the issue harder to deal with, and you're at risk of losing more compassion points. Therefore, you're going to get tired, and therefore that brings us to a mechanic where you have to take a break. Same as on a busy clinical shift. You get tired, you have to take a break in order to recharge. So we thought it would be quite useful to mimic that in a gamified environment.
To share the
yeah,
and have a look at it.
Let's have a look at it.
Okay.
Because that'll make more sense.
That one?
Yeah.
This works.
So can you see? Emily says that we could see it, therefore we could see it. And what are you doing?
Oh, what have I done? Sorry. I'm just going to leave it alone.
Just don't do that to me. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
So as you can see, this is ThingLink. As you can see, it's a 360 picture. So if Claire scrolls round, yeah, we've got all this, and you can see the various hotspots that are numbered. Okay, so this is your scenario. This introduces you to your client. In this case, Melisande the Bard, who is experiencing auditory hallucinations. Now, obviously, we can tweak this for whatever profession. This could be kidney failure. It could be hip abductor work that needs done. Doesn't matter. So that's the person who we're going to be trying to help. And then we have the shadow of doubt. So the shadow of doubt is what happens when you are a practitioner. You come in and you have a moment of doubt about your ability to help this person for whatever reason. You start to second guess yourself, or you've had a bad experience, or you're tired and you're just not feeling 100%. Okay, so that's that. In the game, you're then going to pick a person to. Oh, that's an interesting thing. There we go.
Can you still see that screen? Yeah, cool.
Fab. You get to pick a person to deal with the shadow of doubt in this instance, and they have different skills, and it's those skills that they'll use to combat the shadow of doubt. And we're going to go into this a little bit more by actually demoing the game, or this mechanic of the game, which is probably something we should do now.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, so the first scenario, as you can see, we're in a beautiful pastoral environment. It looks lovely, and as we circle round to that, we see a chap on a horse, And we click on him, and this is our client in this instance. This is Albert, the anxious squire. He is just about to go into his first jousting tournament, and he is overcome with nerves. So our goal here is to help young Albert. Unfortunately, we are about to be hindered by the emergence of a monster, and that monster is the Phantom of Panic, which makes sense given that he is anxious. Okay, so this elusive spectre, which triggered panic attacks with its mere presence. Okay, now this Phantom of Panic isn't going to affect Albert. Phantom of Panic here is going to affect the practitioners who are trying to help Albert. So at this point, we say, choose a champion from your band of brave adventure therapists.
So who would you like? Yeah.
We're going to pick on you because you indicated you might volunteer.
Okay, let's have a think. So I would probably let's go with Leah, the behavioral specialist.
Leah, the behavioral specialist, who has two skills there. She is able to challenge thinking, which might be really useful when we've got the Phantom of Panic, and behavioral activation, which might lead to us being able to convince ourselves that we are able to help Albert to behave in a manner becoming a squire. If I may suggest that in this instance, challenge thinking might be quite useful. Is that okay? So here's what happens. Leah, the behavioral specialist, bravely steps forward to confront the Phantom of Panic. However, the Phantom of Panic strikes deep at Leah. And we simulate this with a dice roll. So Leah has a defense of 14 because she's relatively good at her job, but we are going to roll a 20-sided dice. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. Yeah. Fantastic. So the Phantom of Panic rolls a 9, which is obviously underneath Leah's defense of 13. So the Phantom of Panic has no effect on Leah. She steps forward confident in her ability to help Albert the Squire. And furthermore, she's going to try and dismiss the Phantom of Panic by attacking it with her challenge thinking. So again, we roll a dice. Oh, dearie me. As with Dungeons and Dragons, we have imported the critical success and critical fumble thing. A natural one, which is what Leah has just rolled, means an automatic fail, and Leah has not been able to get rid of the Phantom of Panic. Therefore, the Phantom of Panic is going to try and strike at her again. Same rules, 20-sided dice, has to overcome her defense of 13. And again, even though she had a bit of a wobble there, she has been able to deal with the Phantom of Panic fine. And she's going to have another go at getting rid of it. She's going to give herself a bit of a pep talk. And she rolls that with a challenge thinking of plus. When the Phantom of Panic has an attack of 13, she doesn't quite manage it.
No.
Poor Leah, she is having an absolute mare. It's a good job she's not doing this in front of people at a learning and teaching festival. So let's try that again. Okay, so Leah has another roll of the dice, 40. Thank goodness. Leah is able to get rid of the Phantom of Panic, and we're able to go back to the thing link to demonstrate that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if we close that down, the Phantom of Panic disappears, and Leah looks as though she's going to be able to help Albert the anxious squire. We have a mechanism for introducing another monster, but I'm looking at the time.
Yes, so I was just going to say, I hope that's given you enough of a view of how it works. We've obviously built quite a big world, which you can have a look on the thing link yourself. But you know, the game would continue where there are some internal forces like the panic, and this one is an external one. So there's authority, there's peer pressure, there's the trend setter that sets the trends and influences you in that way. And the format will be the same. So then you would pick somebody and then you would battle that as well. And you can go forward into other environments. So that's the break mechanism if you need to take a break. I'll just show you what that looks like. So we've just set it as a bedroom for now. That needs developing.
And that gets you your compassion points back if you've lost any.
Yeah. The reason for choosing the dice roll, and I know that seems very counterintuitive because we want clinical decision making and things like that, but what we've concentrated on for this game is human factors. And the reason we wanted the dice roll was because of that element of that you can't control human factors necessarily. So that was the idea behind that. And we felt that was the best way to represent that if you get peer pressure or if you are very tired on a shift or you're understaffed, there's certain elements to human factors that you can't control. And that's represented by the dice. And all of those aspects would be discussed very thoroughly in the debrief at the end, wouldn't they?
You know, where we know that learning and simulation takes place.
Yeah.
You're picking apart what's happened.
Yeah. So I hope that was enough of a demonstration. We've just got a couple of minutes if Emily, Nat or Alice have any questions for us.
Well, maybe Alice and Nat have a little think. I was just thinking, because I'm not from a nursing or medical background, I'm from a teaching background, but thinking about how this applies, like you said, to even different settings outside, thinking about our teachers and the things that they our training teachers that they come across on placements, things like authority, things like doubt, things like imposter syndrome, things like behaviors in children or whatever it might. So I could really see how that would be a useful tool, because that's something obviously we talk about on our course, about that kind of resilience and problem solving and coming up against adversity. Anything from I can see some other people as well. Any questions at all from the audience at all?
Alice, we absolutely could. We could run this as a traditional tabletop exercise, where we have this stuff printed off and we do it around the table with a small group. We can run it as an online thing as well. We're not quite up there with Baldur's Gate or anything like that. But yeah, we've got some really good I think they're good ideas about how we develop this. And Emily, I was so pleased to hear you say that about teaching, because it's absolutely. And Alice, I'm so pleased to hear you say that it's brilliant.
Yeah, thank you.
I just with that human element as well, because it's easy for us as educators, whether it's teacher, to say, if you face these problems, this is how to deal with it. But actually, in the moment when you're tired or you're stressed or in very challenging situations like nursing, like teaching, it's recognizing that you might not always be successful the first time, but what do you do? So Alice J, I can see you joined a bit late. You might see that we're recording, so once the recordings have been published, please do have a look, because it is very interesting, and the link for the game is in the chat as well. I'm conscious of everybody's time, so I don't know if there's any other questions. I can see you guys have put your emails in the chat. Okay,
We've always got time to speak to people or demo or anything like that.
Excellent. In which case, as always for these sessions and the festival, the feedback form has been popped in the chat as well. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining, and thank you very much for colleagues at Cumbria.
Very quick 20 minutes.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Emily. Thank you. Bye.